Hi everyone, I'm going to show you how to do a figure eight cast on right now, and this is the sort of cast on that you would do for something that's circular but begins with a very small circumference and that you don't want to have to seam afterwards. So things like toe-up socks or perhaps a mitten that's worked from the tip down. You can use DPNs as I'm using here, you can use circulars, whatever method you'd prefer to use for working small circumferences in the round. So we're going to start this cast on with a slip knot because it helps to anchor the stitches you're going to create afterwards. So I create my slip knot and I put it on one of my needles. I then put the other needle up against this one here with the slip knot. The slip knot is above, the bare needle is below. So now we're going to create the figure eight cast on. So it's going to wrap behind the bottom needle, between the two, around the back of the top one, and then back through the middle. Behind the bottom one, between the two, around the back of the top one, and through the middle. So you can probably see at this point why it's called the figure eight cast on. We are sort of creating figure eights if you looked at it from the points on of yarn wrapped around these needles. And you keep doing this until you cast on the amount of stitches that your pattern calls for. And it's generally going to be an even number of stitches, so you're going to end off having wrapped the last one around the bottom and then back through between. Now, something to note about the number of stitches cast on, some designers might write it differently than others. To double check that you're casting on the right number of stitches, just read forward a few lines in your pattern to see if it is indeed 6 or 12 that they want you to work from that point forward. At this point, as you see, I've cast on, there's 6 sitting above and there's 6 sitting below. So I would say that you would cast on 12 stitches. So you see here I've pulled the stitches apart a little bit more so I have more room. So you could also see how they're wrapped around the needles there. So moving forward to actually knit these stitches, it's going to be a little tricky and a little awkward, but one of the ways to keep it as neat and tidy as possible is to knit through the back of the stitches. Like so. But as I'm doing this, you see it's kind of getting looser. Don't fret too much about that. That's something that you could go back through and tidy up after you've done a few rows. So I've done my first row there. As you see, I've returned to my original slip knot. So what I can do now is just turn it around and work the other set of stitches. In the same way, I'm going to knit through the back of the loop here as well. There you go. And now I have done the figure eight cast on.